Hello, welcome back. We're now on episode three, or kind of our second proper
Yeah, two and a
episode.
half.
2.5, exactly.
Yeah.
And so, as always, Fiona, what are you drinking this week?
Well, this week I brought the mug that I meant to bring last week.
Love it.
Well, being I keep smiling with my little tea friend in it. I don't, can you see? Can you
Hmm.
see him? He's a little man, and the tea goes in his legs, which means I've got loose leaf. I've got a thing called carrot cake because
Ooh.
we didn't remember to eat the biscuits last week. So I thought this week I'll actually put the cake in my tea. There's no cake in it, but there are pieces of carrot in it. It's by Bird, what they call Bird and Blend. Bird and Blend. If you're interested, how about you? What have you
Well,
got?
so I'm back on my yogi tea from the first week, and you saying last week that it had the little message. So this one is live in your strength.
Right. Oh, I read mine last week. Mine was something like uh be your authentic self. Authenticity is love. And that sounds engineered, but it wasn't. And I meant to bring it this time. It was something like that.
Awesome.
I'll read it for next week because this week's topic is being your authentic self.
Yes. And then encouraging that trait in your learners as well, I
Yeah,
think.
exactly. Modeling, being a kind of a role model to just be yeah, be yourself. But I think it's definitely as a teacher, it's important to be the real you, not to pretend to be different from you are. Particularly at this time of year, like most of us are starting course or have recently started our courses.
Yep. Yep. Because I mean,
Uh,
it was a couple of weeks ago that you started with a new group of students, wasn't it?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So what sort of things do you find are helpful to kind of get to know them in those early days?
Yeah, well, most of my students are Japanese, not all, but most. That's just where I work nowadays. And I used to work in Spain, like you do. I was there for about 30 years. Of course, the Spanish are very, I don't know, open, direct. There's
Mhm.
no, you get a very quick sense of who they are, and whereas the Japanese are, it's quite a different society, it's all different um, cultural mores, and they have different expectations of what they're, um, I'll say permitted. I'm not sure if it's in the sense of giving permission, but what is acceptable for them to do in a classroom in terms of hierarchy and
Mhm.
like yeah. Well, yesterday I solved a problem that had been going on for 2 weeks. I've got this student that I kept saying to him, please just call me Fiona, because he's been calling me sir. And every
Oh.
time he speaks to me, he says, excuse me, sir, or thank you, sir. I kept saying, no, no, it's not sir, it's Fiona, just call me Fiona. And then yesterday I kind of twigged that, okay, he doesn't realize that sir is only for men. So I mentioned it, and we had a good old laugh about that.
Mhm.
But it's that kind of thing. They expect to have to address you by a sort of respectful, um, what's the word? Term,
Mm.
respectful word, rather than by my first name. So yeah, I think it's really important to very quickly establish that they can relax, be themselves, they can express opinions. Um, and the way to do that is to do it yourself, to
Mhm.
be honest and be respectful, obviously, be polite, but be friendly, be open, be,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
How about
Yeah, I
you? I
think.
mean,
Oh, and I was just going to say, going back to what you were saying about the kind of the cultural norms, when I
yeah,
worked
yeah.
at a summer school for a couple of years, because it was a very multicultural context, we were called Miss or Mister and then our first names,
Oh,
because there
right,
was
yeah.
this idea that for some students they wouldn't feel comfortable just calling you T or Fiona. But
Yeah,
then for
yeah.
other students, it would be very strange for them to call you Ms. Bestwick, Ms. Mochlin. And so they
Well, my surname would be problematic anyway, wouldn't it? Honestly, I don't think I could go. I've never, most people don't know how to say my surname because I just never bother saying it. This is not a,
and
never
oh,
mind.
but actually thinking about names, like taking the time to learn how to say your students' names is
It's super
so
important.
important in those first few
Yeah,
days.
I learn all my students' name the first day.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter how many students I've got, and I really make an effort. And I might occasionally slightly forget one student, and that's partly because it's the same in Spain, where you get, pardon me, in Spain you've got a lot of men's names begin with J, and I forget, well, not so much forget, but particularly when I was in Catalonia and everybody was Jordi, Josep, Joan, I would kind of know it was one of those. I'm particularly bad with compound names, so was it Giuseppe Juan? Was it Juan Giuseppe? Was it
Hmm. Hmm.
Giuseppe Maria, Giuseppe Antonio? This sort of thing. And in Japanese names, it's slightly because of the syllable nature of the names. I won't remember if it's Nanako or Nanaka, that kind of thing, or Hikaru and Haruki, these sort of names
Hmm.
and it'll take me a little bit of time. But I warn them in advance. I mean, I know I'll say to them, I might struggle with yours for a couple of days, but I promise I'll learn it quick.
Hmm.
But yeah, names, pronunciation, and remembering them and pronouncing them correctly.
Yep, yep. And I wonder whether actually, because I've been teaching online for the last couple of years, it's
Mm.
made me much less able to remember names in real life because
Yeah,
I've
because I've got
always
it's
got
written
them on
on it.
screen. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a bit
yeah,
like phone numbers, isn't it? That we don't need to remember them now.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this might, I wonder if other people watching this have the same thing. I find I learn names very, very quickly. But almost as soon as I've stopped teaching the group, I forget them again. It's really strange and it's embarrassing because then
Hmm.
you bump into people in the street and you go, "Oh, I know you so well. I can tell you what you wore in class, but I can't remember what your name was."
Mm,
And I don't know why that is. It's like my memory will store the names as long as I need them.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, thank goodness Instagram, I can check people's names. That, oh yeah. But yeah, I do find that. Yeah, I wonder if that's a common teacher trait. It
yeah.
might be.
Like you say,
And
let
we're
us know in the comments.
exactly, yeah. And also our ways of establishing rapport must be quite different because I work face to face. I was going to say 90%, but I think it's 100% now, really, apart from these sort of things,
Hmm.
conversations, webinars. Whereas you're online, so we must have very different ways because I mean, I can use things like, I don't know, physical proximity or
Hmm.
Um, my classroom is organized, well, partly my classroom, partly my way of teaching. I'm not the kind of teacher that stands at the front all the time, and I'm not very transmissive. I set up activities, my feedback activities, but a lot of the time I'm walking behind the students monitoring. And my Japanese students can find that a little bit disconcerting
Hmm.
sometimes. They're not used to having the teacher behind them. So I will occasionally, when I'm going around behind, I'll just tap them on the shoulders so they know that I'm there. So that because they jump out of their skins
Mm.
sometimes when they realize I'm behind them. But I do initially at the beginning of the course warn them that I'm going to do that because physical touching can be a bit of an issue. But I've got this situation where either I scare them to death by just standing behind them and stalkering, um, or yeah, or I tap. So I just a gentle touch on the shoulder.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I do that a lot, and I think that develops that they feel that gentle touch is sort of, on the one hand, respectful, but it also does show like a rapport shift. I'm not completely distant.
Mm. Yeah.
I don't know. How do
Yeah.
you do?
Well, I guess, yeah, I mean, to be honest, I do miss the physical classroom, the in-person
Mm,
classroom. Um, but I think a way that I build rapport with my learners is like we're saying, just like being me. Um,
yeah,
you know, sharing the
be
crazy,
yourself.
the
Oh
crazy,
yeah.
or
Think, but which me? I mean, you do only have one me, so I'm just thinking about this now. Um, I have a teacher me, and I have a conference presenter me, and I have an out home by
um,
myself me.
I, I There is probably an element of teacher me in terms of, speaking a bit more clearly or choosing my language perhaps a little bit more carefully, depending on the learners that I'm working with. But I think I'm generally me. I don't know. Now I'll have to
I just
go
wonder.
away and
Yeah, no,
check.
I just this is a completely different track from we'd intended to talk about. No, just because I mean anybody who knows me from a professional context will be surprised that I'm actually quite a private, quiet person in my personal life. I think technically, I don't really know all these terms, but I think technically I'm an introvert because I need to be alone to recharge my batteries or whatever it is. But in the classroom, I'm very, and sense of humor and larking about, not exactly, but like dancing and whatever is very much part of how I form the rapport in class. Is
Hmm.
I I don't make nasty jokes. It's not like one-liners, but I like this group that's just started. I've got 13 in the class. So there was one guy who ended up having to sit at this little table, like at the teacher's table, by himself until we got another table in the room. Yeah. And so, I kind of went, well, my new best friend over here, because he's at the teacher's table, so he's like, he's my friend. I'm sorry, guys. He's the, and we, so the first couple of weeks, he was like or first week, I guess, he was like my best friend.
Mm.
And he loved that because it sort of slightly compensated for being stuck on this table by himself.
Yeah.
And then the others, it became a joke. They wanted to take turns to sit in this chair and be my best friend. And these are adults, they're young adults, they're like 18, 19. But but yeah, so that's what I'm saying about teach yourself, because say at home, I'm happy with my painting and my reading and my write stories. And if you invite me out, I might go out and I might say,
Yeah, but then I
where's the
wonder the same.
classroom?
Yeah, like because our role as teachers is often to
Mm.
kind of facilitate communication,
Yeah,
whether actually when we stop, it's like, oh, it's quite nice not to have to talk to someone now.
that is true as well. Yeah, I consider. I think this is even, I mentioned this, I can't remember if it's in our book or not, but I consider one of the major um, aspects of our job is energy management.
Hmm.
And that became even more apparent when I was teaching online. And so it may be true for you, trying to keep the energy going,
Yeah,
and or bring it down depending, where the energy is.
yeah.
So I think that's why, as well, in class, particularly first thing in the morning, I'm very high energy and very, yay, wee, the big smile. I look like an emoji sometimes. Um, and then other times I just step back and leave them to it,
Hmm.
and I'm lurking like a stalker.
Mm.
But yeah, authentic self is really important. Sense
Yeah.
of humor. I use journaling as well. Yeah, I mean, I know that when we wrote our book, you were mentioning that you wrote the reflection part. I think journaling, I've got to take in notebooks this week. Getting them to journal, and I just tell them to write 10 minutes a day of absolutely anything.
Hmm.
And then if they want, every couple of weeks, they give me their journal and I'll read it. But I never write in the journal. I use post-its. I've always got post-its near me, but I've got some here. So I want to post it. I'll write, oh, that's really, and I respond to what they told me.
Mm. The content,
And
not
that,
just the language as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they'll get two post-its. They'll get a post-it on each page, and the one on each page will respond to what they've told me. Oh, that sounds really cool. Was it fun? If they've said they went to, I don't know, the Harry Potter world or whatever it is, and stick that in and maybe ask a question. And then after 3 or 4 pages, I'll go, this is looking really good. How about you go back and check your S's, or we might need to do some work on that and there, or that kind of thing.
Mm.
But there'll only be one post-it of a different color every, I don't know, 3 or 4 pages.
Yeah.
But on the subject of rapport and being authentic, these journals. and it's not every student, but it's usually at least one per group. I'd say it's about 1 in 5, 1 in 6. It has a massive effect on our relationship, and it's frequently the shyer ones,
Hmm.
and they suddenly feel they're being listened to and they're being personally responded to, and it's not all about grammar and spelling. And then you get a shift in the journal entries as well, that they start to tell you. When I say personal stuff, I don't mean super personal stuff, but they might be telling you, like one guy telling me how lonely he was feeling, and he
Hmm.
missing his girlfriend, this kind of stuff. And me just saying, well, I'm sure if you speak to your girlfriend, she will want you to go out more because she won't want to think of you sitting here feeling sad, that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, I mean, it's about being our authentic selves in the room, but also out of the room in like the way we feedback stuff, I
Yep,
think.
yep,
I
definitely.
don't know. How about you? Because you're the online situation, it's quite different.
Yeah, I mean, definitely doing a lot of rapport building activities at the start. I'm lucky a lot of my
Mm.
students this year are students that I taught last year as well. But I
Ah,
did
okay.
have I had one student who I just had for a few weeks over the summer. And so I would kind of, have a lesson and then make some notes about her in my little book. And then I
Yeah.
actually ended up using AI to help me generate some lesson
Mm.
plan materials.
Oh,
We're going to come
AI
into
already.
to AI next week, I know.
Hmm.
But I found that really useful because, you know, I've had different students, and if I had an adult student and it was more of a business English, there are things that I don't know about, whereas chucking it into AI, it gave me loads of useful starting points for
Yeah.
things,
Some
whether
of the
it's like
martial arts that
hobbies
my
or.
students do. Yeah, the martial arts was the one for me where I'm like, I have never heard of that. Like, most martial arts, yeah, we think, oh yeah, karate, kung fu, whatever. But some of them was like, ooh, don't know that one.
Mhm,
Yeah, no, I hadn't thought of that. But I do keep notes on, I mean, I do the oral exams, um, the testing at the beginning of the year. And I mean, we're supposed to ask a particular bunch of questions, but I always ask them what they're studying at university, back home and wherever they're from, and if they enjoy it and if not, and what aspects they enjoy and what they
mhm,
don't, because that will help me sort of plan classes that are kind of relevant to their, when I say preferences, I mean, no, like yesterday, we were talking about the fact that there's an economics class coming up, and then and I had my notes from the oral exam. So I was able to say, don't worry, there's no maths because I knew nobody liked maths. But this is it, these little notes, make the notes and remember them.
mhm, mhm.
Remember the stuff that they tell you. Remember everything. Well, not everything, but if you think you're going to forget it, then note it down.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
I have a hardback notebook that goes everywhere with me. In fact, it's actually in this room with me right now. It's here. That I write down, and then it's like, so then instead of saying, because I knew there's a drummer, okay, there was a student who told me, like even before the oral exam, that he was a jazz drummer, and did I know where he could practice? So in the oral exam, I suddenly thought, God, I can't remember which one of these guys told me that. Um, so then I've written it down, and right, I'm not going to say his name, but it's right in front of me. It says drummer. But in the oral exams, I then discovered there's someone else who plays the guitar, someone else who plays the violin, someone who likes singing, someone who likes dancing. So then I can say, guys, we could do a band, we could practice a song, make a song.
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
could as a project thing. You guys can. The rest of you, if you want to, like somebody wants to film it, somebody else was interested in photography. So you can, rather than just chit chat,
Yeah.
actually record it. And I say, I carry this everywhere. I mean, I've got it here now because I'm in my office here, my home office. But yeah, really noticing and remembering and referring back to these
Hmm.
things
Hmm.
and complimenting them on, like, oh, we're going to go out for a walk next week. Um, so and so, you told me the other day you like photography. Why don't you bring your camera? You know, that sort of thing. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think we all like, I mean, all of us, everybody like, well, we don't always like to be noticed, but we like people remembering things about us. And it shows that the teacher cares.
Yeah.
Cares
Yeah.
enough. It's a bit like we were saying about remembering names. Remember the names. Remember how many brothers or sisters they got. Remember hobbies or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, but is it the same online or I'm not sure.
Maybe one for us to dig into because I don't know about you, but I might need a top up.
Oh yeah, well I haven't even drunk this week. It's still warm though. It's still warm. It hasn't gone cold.
Fantastic. Well, we'll end this cup of conversation here, so we can carry on the conversation in the comments. Let us know about your ideas about building authenticity and rapport,
Yep,
and how are you your authentic self in the classroom. And we'll be
yep.
back
And
next
then
week.
yeah, next week's AI.
Fantastic.
Evil
See you
cackle.
then.
Bye.